There's that saying, software is eating the world. I would say AI is going to devour it.
What are you seeing in the marketplace?
Here's the business model. Take anything and add AI to it. It's bigger than the internet revolution. You had to know code language. With AI, as long as you can type or copy and paste, you can take advantage of it. The barrier to entry is so low. Like you think about social media, you had to at least put your face on the camera or be good at writing. Now you don't even have to do any of that.
For all of you listening at home, you up and coming entrepreneurs, the big advantage here is not just there's all these ideas, but you can test them for nothing now.
The timing is perfect right now because it is so new, novel, it's kish. Like you don't need to have any sort of paid marketing budgets. The product itself is the marketing.
That's what people don't do. This idea is fragile. Like you guys are listening to the pod right now. I've got to do this. Here's the number one way to find out if somebody's successful or not. Hey there, here's a fun but sad fact for us. Most people who love our content are still not subscribed to the channel. Now, here's the deal that I will make with you. If you can find it in your heart to click on the little subscribe button below, I promise you that we will get better and better guests on this show so that we can interview them for you to give you better and deeper insights from people that have really done some crazy good stuff. That's the deal. If you click on that little subscribe button, hit the notifications bell as well, we would be deeply grateful and we'll make a better show for you going forward. I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unemployable. We have a cracking session scheduled in for today. We are joined in the studio by our special guest, Chris Jeong in the house. What is up, Chris?
Hello, Adam. Hello. Pleasure to be here.
Well, we've got young Chris here, is our resident AI dude, and we're going to be talking today about artificial intelligence and really trying to help both sides of the audience today, because I know that in the audience we have people who are business owners that are interested in how to improve their workflows and is it really a thing that I need to be thinking about and getting ahead of. But then the other half of our audience are these ravenous young, sometimes not so young entrepreneurs looking for a viable business idea with as little startup cash required as possible. So we're going to dive into both sides of those. So we can't wait for this episode. It's going to be really fun. We've got lots of cool examples to show you guys and such an exciting space. So James, what's up? How are you today, mate?
Very good, mate. Very good indeed. Can't wait to get into this one unpack what we've been doing with ChatGPT predominantly, but also then go down some rabbit holes with Chris and see how we can implement some more of these things into my business personally and for the wider audience. So it's going to be a ripper.
We may or may not find out how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Well, yes.
You're actually using AI now in your business, aren't you, James?
A lot. Yeah. Not nearly as much as we could. It's more so a use case that I'm using it for a lot of research, a lot of copy because I do all the marketing and whatnot. So yeah, it certainly does a lot of the heavy lifting for me.
And that was evidenced actually in our last pod when we had Avril in here. Old Eric over here, even though he's younger than you, spent fucking hours like researching and getting notes together. And then James sits down and says, like 2 minutes before the pod's going to go live, and does a few ChatGPT prompts and has this whole articulate set of questions to ask Avril. So ChatGPT-4 reached out to the internet and got all these relevant questions from different times in her career.
Exactly.
And Eric's just like, what the hell, dude? Yeah. Eric, how are you, buddy? What's going on?
I just want to start by thanking you for making me look like shit this morning.
I want to thank you for not wearing tennis shorts again.
Yeah. You can't unsee that shit, huh?
I wore pants on purpose because I want to make sure your eyes are on camera, not on me this time.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I'm excited, a little bit overwhelmed at the same time. AI is just this massive space. I look at it like me trying to teach my grandpa the smartphone, you know? So I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we've known Chris for a little while now, and he's diving deep into the AI space, and there's going to be some good teachings today.
I think that's a lot of the audience, though, Chris, is this whole overwhelmed with AI. And so today we're going to throw up examples, we're going to riff, and we're going to play dumb with you a little bit to say, hey, for the dummies in the room like us, explain that a little bit. So can't wait to dive into it. It's going to be super fun. I want to share a quick story with you guys that I thought was interesting. I want your feedback. Is this just pure evil or is this evil genius? So there's this chick who put a post on X, Twitter, X, whatever, a couple of months ago, and it said, my girlfriend is looking for a sperm donor, and must be unvaxxed and must not be of Indian or Jewish descent, I think it was, or African descent or something. It was a bit racist, but she put this up. And must have blonde hair and be over 5'10", right? Hit us up in the DMs or the comments if you're interested. And this Twitter thing went viral, right? It went to like 3 million people looking at this Twitter post. And so then she posts again, and in the second post, she says, this is not a joke, this is real. In the second post, because you're looking at me like there's a punchline coming, right? The second post says, hey, I've been smashed with all these inquiries, so and we're a little bit overwhelmed, so we thought we'd give you some more information. So a lot of people have been asking, what does she look like if we're going to make this baby? And a couple other questions. So attached to some photos, and so have a look at those. And then secondly, we wanted to add that she needs to be naturally inseminated. So basically, she's saying, any dude over 5'10" with blonde hair who's not vaxxed can have sex with her. And the photo, she's a gorgeous girl, like this gorgeous European chick. And she said, so if you fit the profile, hit us up below. Then these people started getting messages from her, the girlfriend, saying, hey, listen, she's really interested in you. Would you mind just doing the last step, which is a DNA, like a 23andMe test, right? To verify, your descent and all this. And then if that all goes well, then we'll talk about the next step. And then here's the brilliant part. It was an affiliate link for 23andMe. So, right?
Well played.
So there's some fat dude in a basement, right, who's put these 2 tweets up and is getting affiliate commissions from all these guys going and getting 23andMe tests, and a stack of guys, and all these people have been talking about how much they've made from it. They estimate this guy made between $25,000 and $60,000 from 2 tweets. Wow. Alone, just in affiliate.
I was wondering
why. Is that evil or evil genius?
I think it's evil genius. I was wondering why I seen James at Big W with a blonde wig on.
What do you reckon, guys?
Yeah, no, evil genius. I mean, it's borderline though. You're pulling on the heartstrings of a lot of probably lonely guys.
I don't know
out
about
there.
the heartstrings.
Well, call it what you want. Pulling on something.
Yeah, exactly, the loneliness. But I guess it leads a little bit into this AI world, because there is a lot of opportunity in the world of AI, right? There's everywhere you look. Chris and I have been back and forward this week, riffing on text, like, what about this? What about this? And the more you go down this rabbit hole, the more you realize there is just, I've been doing some research this week. I call it AI week to sort of get my head into it. But I think the best description of this in my mind is that in our lifetime, we had the internet. That was an enormous mega trend that changed the world. It changed everything. It changed banking. It just changed everything. The only other sort of major mega trend we've had is the mobile phone, the smartphone, but it was quite limited in terms of how it could affect relative to the internet. That being said, it was still a massive, massive revolution. And there was like this threatening crypto revolution, which never really happened. And now we have artificial intelligence. And from everything I've been looking at, and the more I think about it, I think that AI is as big and maybe bigger than the internet. It is going to touch everything, and that is a huge statement. But imagine being at the start. What did I say?
Touch everything.
Guys, just on the pod out here. On the pod here, look, we've got one major outcome for Eric, because he's a bit of a dunce when it comes to AI. We want to introduce him to his new avatar, and we've named Brian. So Eric's heart will be no longer broken.
Oh my God, you guys. So I think to set this up, I really do believe that we are at the beginning of a revolution as big as the internet. And you think about that for a second. You think about like the Amazons of the world, the Facebooks of the world. You think about the enormous amount of wealth that has been created off the back of the internet. And so that sort of frames it up for us. And we've sort of seen ChatGPT evolve. We're going to start from a base that people sort of have an understanding what ChatGPT is. And I'm just going to quickly frame it with sort of like the 5 sort of phases of evolution that we're starting to see now. And then we can sort of discuss from there. So the first one was text to text. So when we go to a ChatGPT, and like my wife just used ChatGPT last month for the very first time. So she experienced the first iteration of AI, which is you write in a command and then the AI answers in text. And you're like, whoa, I remember the first time I used ChatGPT, it was like, holy smokes, this is amazing. You're watching copy being written or an answer being written or a book being written based on your commands. And that alone is mind-blowing. Then there's text to image, right? Which is where you type in a text command and AI using Midjourney and other tools, which we'll jump into today, creates an image based on your inputs. And that was like, wow, look at that. Next, there's text to voice, all right? And we'll play you an example of text to voice today on the podcast, which is kind of crazy, the applications. Now what's emerging is text to video. And this is where it gets truly scary, that you can put in commands and it creates videos. So when artificial intelligence starts creating images and videos, obviously there's massive implications. I've seen ads recently of Mr. Beast on Facebook going, hey everybody, Mr. Beast here. I've been so successful with YouTube. I'm now starting an online casino where every person is guaranteed to win. Go here and open up with $100 and it's just a straight up fraud, and they've used AI to generate Mr. Beast videos, which is almost indiscernible at this stage and soon will be. So you've got text to video, and then the most exciting, I think, of all from an entrepreneurial point of view or a workflow point of view is text to code. And that's where you say, I want to have this outcome, and the AI goes ahead and does it. So for example, please make me a web page that is green with the word welcome to my web page. And that's all you type in, and it immediately gives you the code that you can view internally and see the web page that you just asked it to do. Now that is really mind-blowing, because you don't need coding skills. And so Chris, I know you're itching to jump into this because there's so much exciting stuff here. There's one last piece I want to explain before we go a little bit deeper to frame this, and that is the sort of really cutting edge stuff of AI. We started with what they call an imperative model, which is imperative model is encoding is where you basically, a coder creates a series of commands inside of software that says do this, then this, and if this, then that, right? That's called imperative coding or an imperative model. Where AI is moving us to is what coders call a declarative model. And a declarative model is where you simply say, I want this outcome, make it happen. Whether it's a book, whether it's a website, whether it's a video. And that's changing the game, because dummies like us who don't know how to code can all of a sudden now just tell AI what we want, and it actually makes it from a photo to a video to a website to a voice to anything else. And that basically moves it from being like having an intern to having a highly experienced expert, that if you prompt it correctly, you're getting an actual output without having to do all the legwork of the coaching and the training and the coding that you would normally hire a coder to do. So exciting times. Chris, when I talk about these things, what pops into your head? What are you seeing? Like, you're having discussions every day with business owners, because your background, just to frame it up for everybody, Chris has a background as a PPC traffic guy. So he manages Facebook traffic, Google traffic, LinkedIn traffic on behalf of companies, small and larger businesses. And now you've sort of started into AI consulting, and you're helping businesses to put AI into their workflows or educate them on AI generally. What are you seeing in the marketplace?
Yeah, great framing first and foremost. What I would say is I'll challenge you to say that it's bigger than the internet revolution, because think about back when the internet revolution came in, you had to know code language. You had to know how to speak HTML or Python. With AI, as long as you can type or copy and paste, you can take advantage of this, which is absolutely huge and phenomenal. And so, spot on. What I'm really primarily focused on is trying to lead people through this revolution, because it is exactly that. Eric, your reaction is what everyone has. It's a little bit overwhelming. What I'd say though is we've seen this before with the internet revolution. We've seen it with social media. It's just another tool that's come in, and some of the applications are just phenomenal. So what you were saying there in terms of text to voice, text to text, text to image. There's text to action. But the other thing that's come in recently is also voice in. So you don't even have to type. As long as you can talk, you can then interact with the AI and have it actually do things for you as well.
In any language too, right?
Correct.
Which is really powerful.
Correct. Honestly, the opportunities of this are mind-boggling. And you think about one thing you could do if you're just a budding entrepreneur. You could literally just take a good idea that's working in English and have it translated into German. I know someone who's running a group in Poland, and they just translated something from English and do it in Poland, and they are absolutely crushing it because no one serves the Polish market. So that's just one opportunity. There's tons and tons of them just from that translation alone.
Yeah. So let's whet your appetite, guys, all you budding entrepreneurs out there with why being early is so powerful, right? And I mean financially potent, right? So there's a story here that we pulled up, Thomas Rauter's story here, where there's a big legal company called Lexis, and Lexis were one of their major competitors came out with an announcement that they're developing an AI tool for legal services, their legal service clientele. And LexisNexis were like, holy shit, we need to school up on AI or these guys are going to jump ahead of us. They found this relatively small company doing 10 million in gross revenue, right? So it's not a big company, right? $10 million in gross revenue that had developed eight chat GPT prompts that they actually patented, or proprietary prompts that they protected somehow. Obviously they're lawyers, so they figured out how to do that. And so they created these 8 chat GPT prompts that enabled lawyers to use chat GPT in a way that was really, really powerful. This startup, as you can see from the Thomas Rauter story, was acquired by Lexis for $650 million US, and in the investor documents, they actually said that the reason that they acquired the startup for $650 million was to acquire the 8 proprietary ChatGPT prompts, which is just absolutely phenomenal. Chris, you've got another great story. Was it Lenza? Maybe you could tell that story. And we just want to tell these stories to get you guys listening at the start, because it's extremely powerful when you understand and how simple these tools are to create. So tell us the Lenza story.
So Lenza, if you cast your mind back perhaps 12 months ago on Instagram, anyone who was on Instagram saw this. All of a sudden, everyone was changing their profile picture to some sort of AI version of their profile image. That was started and made popular by this company called Lenza. And what you would do is you would upload your profile picture to Lenza, you'd pay them $10, and it would come back with 100 different AI versions of your avatar picture. And so that company did, I think it was $8 million in a month from that alone. And that was more than their entire revenue for the year to date, calendar year to date. And that was just from, all they did was they had a website or a user interface between Midjourney or Stable Diffusion and the user. So using Midjourney, using Stable Diffusion, to your point, Eric, and I'm sure many others' points, is it can be a little bit confusing when you don't know what you're doing. What these guys did was just made it really easy. All you had to do is upload your image and they did the rest with maybe a bit of API connections behind the scenes. That alone, $8 million.
So
and that was in the first month alone.
Tell us, just to lay a foundation there, what is Midjourney and what is
Brilliant.
The other one that you mentioned?
Yeah, Stable Diffusion.
Stable Diffusion.
So when it comes to, so you mentioned earlier, generative text, so text to text or text to image. So when it comes to text to image, there are 3 main players. There's Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and DALL-E. And so,
how do you spell that one?
DALLE or -E. And so those platforms are what most people use to do text to image. And so if you're using ChatGPT Plus, the premium version of ChatGPT, you get DALL-E as part of that process. If, however, you want to use Midjourney or Stable Diffusion, you've got to go to apps like Discord, which are a little bit confusing for people if you haven't used them before. And so those are those 3 platforms for the image generation. When it comes to text generation, the main players there are ChatGPT, Bard, and also Claude, so CLAUD.
Bard is owned by Google.
Correct.
ChatGPT is owned by Microsoft.
Correct, yes.
And who's the other one?
It's Anthropic, so it's a third party, and I'm not sure if they've got any bigger picture investors behind the scenes.
Okay, so you've got these two big image generation engines, and so Lensa created an app, I think, or a website, or both.
Correct.
And you could just go to the app or the website, I think it was 10 photos or 30 photos or something I selected from my phone, uploaded them to Lensa, paid my $10. They then send those through an API, just a little bit of coding between their app and website and Midjourney.
Yes.
And basically said, hey, with these 10 photos, here's the prompt between, that we want you to do. Midjourney then generates the new images, sends it back to the app. The app then notifies the customer, here they are. So they've just got a simple website or app that interfaces with the big engine.
Correct.
And are they paying Midjourney and these things for that service?
Yeah, they would be. So with Midjourney, you've got to pay a subscription fee, and so they'd be paying probably one of the premium tiers to get that. It's very minimal, so it's probably in the hundreds of dollars per month. And so Stable Diffusion, you do have a version of that where you can download it and use it for free. If they've done that, good on them. But the cost would be absolutely minimal.
So out of $8 million, what do you reckon their cost of goods sold would be? Just guessing.
A fraction. Let's just say less than 100,000. Way less than 100,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of
phenomenal.
customers for $10 for 8 million. So there's the popularity of that thing just went bonkers virally. I mean, that's a lot.
So yeah,
And
if you can find an application or a use case that is really powerful.
See, if
and
you're
viral.
smart, you would look at that, and then you look at all the spin-offs. So I don't know if you've seen it, where you turn yourself into a pet, or you upload your pet photos, and it turns into Disney characters or superheroes. And so you can take that original idea and just think, okay, I'm going to use this particular niche or space.
Cass and I did one the other day where you upload a photo of your pet, and then you can choose from like 20 songs, and you got Barry White singing, like the dog singing a Barry White song, and it's so cool, right? You just sit there. It's childish, but it's fun, and it's super viral. And people send it to all their family. Oh, where'd you get this done? And then they go and make it of their dog. So there's all sorts of applications there, and you don't need to make 8 million. You might make 80 grand off 10 of them.
And you look at things like this, like they're fun, they're a bit kitsch, they're not really solving a real world problem. But people, from the virality nature, they're great. But when you look at some of the other use cases, which I'm sure we'll dig into a moment, where you're actually solving real world problems, that's where it gets quite interesting.
And I think this is the thing I want to make a point of here is, guys, as you hear these ideas, don't dismiss them and go, oh, that's just childish silliness. Be smarter than that. You need to look beyond what you're seeing and go, how could this be applied in a context that I'm interested in? And just one more question I want to ask you, Chris. How much do you think it would cost today to build the Lensa app and to build the interface with a coder?
Well, so you wouldn't even have to have an app. Let's just say it's a website, because it's a little bit cheaper.
Just a website?
Yeah, under $1,000 you could have all that set up. And that's absolutely, overestimating costs as well.
So if you make $2,000, you've doubled your money, right? If you make 8 million, it's rocket world, right? It's
exactly. And to your point earlier, so the timing is perfect right now because it is so new, it's so novel, it's kish. Like, you don't need to have any sort of, paid marketing budgets. The product itself is the marketing.
It's
and
like
it's
TikTok.
remarkable.
When you were early on TikTok, it just went viral if you were early and you got there on COVID. But what I've often found with these waves is the people that are really active at the early stages and make these little things end up building proper companies off the back of it. Like many of the guys, like the guys who founded YouTube and these other things, built these little niche sort of things, and then something came. Eric, did you have any questions there?
I just want to rewind it back a little bit. So for any of the people that are watching this pod and are brand new to AI, we're talking about prompts. So what exactly is a prompt, Chris?
Very, very good question. So the magical thing about AI is it can do anything that you tell it to do. So a prompt is you telling the AI what you would like. And so all of AI right now, it's generative AI is basically what it is. So it comes down to you put a prompt or an input in, and then you get the AI output. And if you don't get the right output that you want, you just change your input. So the prompt is essentially something like, research this particular podcast guest and give me 10 questions that I can ask them during the interview. And that's the prompt, and then the AI will then come back and give you the output.
And that's exactly what James did before
there's
one of our
a little
podcasts.
bit of, I started using ChatGPT just as it exploded, and that was the big thing. It's like, well, what's a prompt and how do you get more savvy around it? A lot of people actually created courses on prompt engineering that they got the AI to write, then solve the prompts that it wrote. So there's a business in that again. So a use case for people who are brand new to it. With the advent, as the technology gets more and more advanced, you can be less of a genius when it comes to prompt engineering and still get a great outcome. So what was current 6 months ago from these courses I bought, and you had to say this, do this, act like that, and all these different commands. Now you can just do this, and it'll have the same outcome. So the speed of the technology or the ease of use is coming a lot more for people that are brand new to using GPT. But still, if you want to get a great outcome, put shit in, get shit out. But you put a very articulate and specific prompt in, you'll get a very great outcome. And then from that prompt, it'll spit out certain information, and then you can go, okay, what's next in the logical chain of command to get my outcome? So one prompt will get X, the headline, or the high-end overview, and then you go through and you just break it down.
You've got to basically talk to it like an employee, right? Like say, hey, look, that's great, but can you make it funnier? Can you make it richer? Can you give more references to this or to that? But you need to be using ChatGPT 4 to be connected to the net or something.
Yeah.
Can you explain that, Chris?
Yeah, sure. So there are plugins you can use for ChatGPT 3.5, but with the newest version on the premium plan, ChatGPT 4 it directly connects through the internet via Bing, which is absolutely Microsoft owned, obviously Microsoft backed. And so right now, you don't have to go to get any other plugins to connect to the internet. You just use it natively within ChatGPT 4, and it's absolutely amazing. And just one thing as well, just with the prompts, I'm just mindful of people who are watching this who may or may not, they've never used ChatGPT or AI in the past. You can just ask it, what do I need? Like, this is what I want to achieve. What do you need from me to make that happen? And it will guide you through the whole process. So to your point, James, you used to have to be very specific and clear. Now you can just ask it questions and it'll guide you through to get the goal that you want to achieve. And it's absolutely amazing. And what I just recommend for people, anyone who's watching, just create a free account. It's free. Just start playing around with it. Just start typing. You can't break it. And unless you're doing something incredibly silly, you're not going to get into any trouble.
I mean, just for fun stuff as well. Like, if you're not sure, I mean, like if you're going to plan a trip, I'm going to plan a trip to Italy later in the year, and I said, act as a travel planner, tour guide, whatever. I want to go for these cities, and I want to do it over this amount of days, and I want to have a break in each. I want to have a transport, extra transfers. I want to go business class. I want this, and this, and there it was, the whole
Straight
trip
out.
with all the costs, the hotel costs, the flight costs, the timing of all the. It was just like.
And Expedia's now developed a plugin where it'll say, would you like us to book that? And it integrates with your Expedia account and books it all for you.
Yeah,
right there on the spot, which is amazing.
Do away with the travel agent, right? And that sort of happened because when you sit down, I know I'm going to a rabbit hole here, but if you sit down with your partner or whoever it is and plan out a trip, it can take weeks to work it out properly. And just go,
it's a massive.
And just go bang, and it's done.
Yeah, and you can say less. Can you give me less restaurants and more physical activity or whatever? And it says, yeah, no problem. It is really like I used it. Chris, with my PPC data in my electric toilets business, we advertise on Google. So I exported my data for the last 9 months and last 6 months, and I just drag and dropped it into ChatGPT 4 and said, I have a really important meeting tomorrow with my boss. Can you translate, with my boss who's the marketing manager, can you translate all this data for me? Tell me my best selling products, my worst selling products, my best ACOS, which is return on ad spend, ROAS, return on ad spend. Can you give me some, and I actually wrote this, can you give me some fancy pie charts and bar graphs so it looks like I've really done a lot of work? And what was amazing, it said, yeah, no problem. And then as it was opening the data, it said, sorry, the data's formatted incorrectly. So I'm just trying to do this workaround, just hold on. And it literally said this to me as I'm doing it. It says, I've now moved to line 1, 2, and I've solved it. Oh, but there's another problem here. Wait, I'm just working on it. And this is, all right, I've worked it out. Here it is. And it produced this report with everything, including the line graphs, the bar charts, the ROAS, the top performing, the worst performing. And I was like, oh my God. And it was all about that prompt, like in the context of it's for my boss. And it said, it wrote it in that context.
Now, is that on the free ChatGPT or do you have a subscription?
That was a subscription.
Now, what's the difference, Chris or Adam?
Because you can't drag and drop. data into the free.
subscription.
And internet. No, you won't be able to go out and search the net. So it's a paid version 4. Is it 4.5 now?
4.5 is coming very quickly.
Yeah.
So right now on the paid plan, you get a better model, so you get 4 versus 3.5, which just means it can interpret things a lot better. It can analyze a lot more data. So I think it's up to 300 pages worth of data in one.
And it accesses
document.
the internet where the free one doesn't.
Correct.
And it's cheap, right? It's like $20
$20 a month.
$20 a month. It's
Guys,
unbelievable.
It's a multi-million-dollar tool. Like you think about, we've all seen Iron Man, and you would think, how cool would it have been to have a Jarvis type tool? We've almost got that right now. Just even with a $20 a month tool, you don't have to be a zillionaire like Iron Man was. So,
And with that, I think it was you, James, maybe that was saying that it can only access internet up to a certain year.
correct. No, so on 4, it's just released up to April 2023, sorry. April 2023 now.
Okay.
But when you put a prompt into actually go and search the net, it'll bring up and scour the net and bring you live data, and it'll reference the URLs that it's gone and found. So it summarizes it for you and then puts a little parentheses there, and you can click it and it takes you to the web page that it found the data from. So now I generally, if I was say out of 10 searches I'd used to do online through Google, I do them all through ChatGPT now. I use it as a search engine.
That's interesting.
I don't use the Google list, and then I go, opening hours of Stockland, Burleigh, whatever, 8 o'clock, cool, and I'll give them a call.
Is that because it's ad-free, you prefer it, or do you...
No, just because it gets me the right answer without having to go through 3 or 4 websites. Just bang, there's the answer.
Exactly. So imagine how, like, you get your search results. You have to click into each website and go, oh man, this is trash. I'm going to go back and forth. And it'll give you all those ones there with a summary.
Exactly. Summarizes it with the link for reference if you want to have it as well. So I use it all the time.
So you've got it open as a tab on your computer all day.
Always. And with the GPTs, when you go in and start a new chat, and Chris, you'll attest to this, is when you prime the AI with what you want it to be, act as a X, do X, Y, and Z. You just leave that there, because if it's something you're going to use, like act as a copywriter for a healthcare company, it's just there permanently. I go back to it, go, right, now I want to update this copy, and it's already been trained on how to write the way I like it to write for that specific use case. So it just sits there. It's my copywriter that sits there permanently.
And it doesn't complain. If you give it feedback, you don't have any drama.
Oh, I give it feedback.
So while we're here, why don't we talk about this? So you bought a business. For those of you who don't know James's story, listen, go to our channel, look up, don't start a business, buy a business, and you'll see James's interview. So you bought a fax machine business. What we mean by that is it was a business that still had a fax machine in it, but it's actually a healthcare company selling healthcare products. Mm-hmm. So it's an old business. It still had a fax machine in the corner, didn't have any modern. How are you using AI and ChatGPT and these things now in your business? Can you give us 2 or 3 examples?
Yeah, absolutely. We're just about, as we all know from listening to the pod, it was a turnaround. So there's a few things there which were more of a manual model, like just rebuilding databases and warehouse management systems and whatnot like that, but more so from a marketing facelift. I wrote all the funnels, websites, emails, everything. It was all generated through ChatGPT. So I used to write copy quite a lot, not bad at it, but the time it takes is incredible. This thing does, Chris, you write copy as well. Chris and I have done some work together in the past. It's not perfect, but again, you put the right prompt in, get the right prompt out, it'll do 80% of the grunt work, and you just go through and sharpen it up and then run it back through again.
So mainly copywriting.
At the moment.
For ads and for your website.
Yep, and for funnels, the whole lot, all comms, which is, as you know, is a huge job when you're writing.
Well, we're using it. We'll open Cast Magic at some point here today and show you what we're doing with the pod. Yeah.
There's that. I'm just about to go through recruitment and scaling process as well. What we're going to be putting on is appointment setters. So one of our KPIs is to have every lead that comes in will be called within 5 minutes by a human. And I'm now really thinking, and Chris and I are going to be talking about this after, because I've got the scripts they're well trained. I've got all the call recordings as well. So you dump all that data into a database, and it will learn exactly what your salespeople say, what the appointment setters say, and then you can train it up with the voiceover in an Australian language. You pick a female, pick your avatar, and every single lead that comes in will be called within a minute. and they'll be faultless. And it'll know the questions to ask, it'll know all the rebuttals, it'll know all the pause points and everything like that, because I've got so much data from every single call that we have in the company has been recorded and archived. Then we've got the chatbot, which we've got 6 odd years of chatbot responses that humans have been going back. So great, there's another data set to go learn how to be our chatbot for X, Y, and Z. Then what we're also going to do, we use Monday.com, which is like a work, it's like Asana, Monday, whatever. All our company SOPs are all in there, and they're all looms. And so we've got just article after article after article in our knowledge base. We'll dump that into a knowledge base app, and then it'll become a fully searchable knowledge base. It'll be instant, it'll be AI driven, and it'll be intuitive. And so that also adds a shit ton to your bottom line when you're looking at selling a company, because you're absolutely cutting edge when it comes to training staff.
Can I just add two things in there? So one is SOPs, absolutely phenomenal. Everyone knows in business you need to have SOPs that add value.
Standard operating procedures.
Standard operating procedures. I personally really dislike making them, but I like creating flowcharts. So with ChatGPT 4, you can upload a flowchart and say, hey, what's going on in this flowchart? Create an SOP, a standard operating procedure based on that flowchart, which is absolutely mind-boggling. It'll write it all out perfectly for you. And just to take it back as well to the prompting side of things, what you said about copywriting, I'll give people a framework to follow. This, I think, will be extremely valuable for people who, especially if you're just getting started or you're more intermediate or advanced, just think context, task, and then limitations. So give it the context. You have the context in your brain. The AI, ChatGPT, whatever tool you're using doesn't have that context. I need to create a Facebook ad for this business, etc., etc. Then give it the task. Write a Facebook ad, a short form Facebook ad, long form Facebook ad. Then give it the limitations. I want it in this style or tone. I want this many words or less. I want this sort of personality type, make it engaging, etc. So if you just think context, task, and limitations, I call it the control method, because CCL control on the keyboard. That alone will give you the framework when you're prompting, whether it's ChatGPT, Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, whatever tool you're using, to make your prompts and your outputs far more powerful.
I'll give you one that I got off a great pod that I listened to as well, and it was a guy saying, I will need to write a sales letter, and it's wrote in there, are you familiar with Perry Belcher's 21-step sales letter formula? Yes, I am. Great. Now write me a sales letter based on using his 21-step framework, and the sales copy popped out in like 10 minutes. It needs refining a little bit, but usually a piece of copy like that, if you have Perry Belcher write, it'd be 20, 25 grand. And it pops out in 20 minutes. And so you can easily just go and study, educate the AI on his style of writing in 21. Now, here's my brief.
That's amazing.
Overlay it that way. So
That's
he cuts down shitloads of time.
How do we know that the info's correct? Like you're putting info, you're putting in all your PPC info, you're putting sales info, and you're just pressing a button. You're going, for the output that's coming in, and you're going, I hope this is right, because I'm now going to be making strategic decisions based on what this machine is telling me. Because if that's not right, it could be catastrophic. Not saying that humans are right either, because AI is a lot smarter than we are. But how do we actually know that it's right?
I guess when you for what I just speak to what I'm doing is I understand how copy works and understand what a good piece of copy looks like, and the facts that are in there, I've given it the prompts to go and find it, and also ask for source reference websites so I can then read the website and make sure they're actually factual.
I'm thinking more than copy though. I'm thinking numbers.
If you're thinking,
I'm going deep dive numbers. You know what I mean? You're turning over $50 million a year. You're spending $5 million on ads. You're spending it on different types of ads. And you're asking it,
I think you would have to reverse engineer it manually at the start to check. It's like for MX Store, right? You guys spend millions on advertising and generate millions. So I think you would have to manually check it at first, because there's so much at risk, right? Yeah. But once you guys know that the data's solid, then maybe. But I think that's a really good question.
Right, because we got to remember, James is doing the prompts right now.
Yeah.
Give it 12 to 18 months, right? When James is on his boat or buying his next business, he's going to have someone else doing the prompts. So you're actually putting, right, a lot of, pressure on someone putting in the correct prompts, as an example, to then take the information, like the trust you're putting in someone, right? And again, it is machine learning. Like, that's something that we're not used to. It's something I'm not used to, right? Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, 10 plus 10 is 20. Okay, so it's 10 plus 10, 20. You know what I mean? Like, just double check, triple check. And it's one of those things where it's hard to understand, when you're putting that kind of detailed numbers, equations to trust it, because it could be catastrophic.
Yeah, it's a great question. And Adam, your point there is true.
Verify.
First, you verify it. Once you've verified it's coming back accurate, then you know. The other thing too is it's really important as people and humans who are interacting with the chat GPTs, we need to know what good looks like. So James just mentioned, he knows what good copy looks like. If you're putting this in there to analyze the numbers, you'd want to know what numbers you need to look out for. So if you have no idea, it's going to be an absolute mess for you. So you do need to know what to look for in terms of what does the right output look like, and then verify it. And once you've done that, you'll be fine. You'll be good to go.
All right. Moving forward, I thought what we do is give an example. This is going to service both listeners right now. So this is an example of an AI tool we use here on the pod to do a lot of the heavy lifting. So when we produce an episode, when I say it's going to serve both sides of the audience, I mean for the entrepreneurs watching this is actually quite a simple piece of software, and I'll explain why in a moment. So this is something you could develop, but if you're a business owner producing content, this could be something that you use. So it's called Cast Magic. So one thing we do at the pod, we record this long form podcast, which is an hour and a half or something like that. I have Greg pull the audio off it, and then we upload the audio into here. We could upload the whole video, or we could give it the YouTube link, but I do the audio because I need the copy for the YouTube video before it goes on YouTube, because it's part of putting it on YouTube. So I get him to give me the audio because it's a small file, it uploads really quick. So once it's uploaded, this is where it says recordings. Greg, just click on one at the top there that's been done. So what it's done is it's gone through and it's transcribed the whole thing, and then it says, who are these voices? And it gives me 3 or 4 voice samples, depending on how many voices there are in it. I verify the voices, then it puts in all the names. Now click on the AI content piece there, just where it says AI content at the top, yep. And so what it's done there now, scroll right to the top, Greg, so we can see it. So it's given me, based on the content in the podcast, it's given me 10 alternative titles for the podcast. And scrolling down, it just gives us then all the keywords that would be relevant for the podcast. It gives us an introduction to the podcast. It gives us a timestamp overview. This is just a short clip going down. It's got questions that we could ask people to answer after watching the podcast if we wanted to test people. Going down further, it covers, these are the key points and bullets that were covered in the podcast. Scrolling up, it gives us, just down a little bit, Greg. Yeah, okay, there. We've got Clip Finder, so it's saying, hey, here's some clips that you could cut out. It's got a script for the reel if we wanted to make a reel out of it. It writes a LinkedIn post. It writes an email that we could send to as a newsletter to our email list. It writes a bunch of tweets that we could send out on Twitter. It writes a bunch of threads for Instagram, all instantly. From the time that it did the translation, that whole piece of AI took about 30 seconds to produce all of that. So what they've done is they've written a series of prompts that are running in the background. So it says, here's the long form text. Now produce this. And they've just refined the prompts to produce. And so I can now open up YouTube, load the video, pick one of the headlines, pick the description, throw in the hashtags, and it's all done.
And not expensive, I'm sure. How much is it?
20 or 30 bucks a month.
Yeah. That's nuts. Yeah. And how long would it take to build, if you're a copywriter or copy, that's days.
Well, you got to watch the whole thing for starters. Then you got to do it.
And then if you're going to pay a high-end copywriter who's worth their salt, they're not cheap either.
Not at all.
And so it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So that whole area of prompts, that's a series of prompts that are built into the software. So this is what we call prompt engineering, and I think that's going to be a career, is prompt engineering.
Big time. And even click on to Magic Chat if you want to there as well. This is where you can actually chat with this particular transcript. So you can say, hey, what were the key points for this? You can ask it more specific questions for your individual circumstances. So I don't know what the topic is. Let's just say the topic is about health and it's dieting. You can ask it and say, look, I'm a diabetic who's in my 40s. Based on this podcast here, what should I do? And it will consult the transcript and it will give you the answers based on this particular Magic Chat. And again, this is all very simple. You can do this within ChatGPT or anything else, but they've brought it into this piece of software. And if you're, just thinking through the people who are watching this, if you're a young person who's looking to, get started with making money, this is phenomenal. You can just go to a business who has no idea that this is going on and say, look, I'm going to charge you $200 to $300 to get this done. And for a business owner, that is very cheap potentially, right? To get all that copy done. And you can come in here and get it done in a matter of minutes.
And you pay 20 to 30 bucks a month for it.
Yes, now that's for the software. Now imagine you get 10 bits. That's right.
You've got 10 clients paying you $300 to do their videos. You've got $3,000 a month. You could be living in Bali.
Per video. Just say per video even. And then if they're doing a video a week, it's $1,000
so you can put
a
a job on Upwork, say $50 or $100 a video, and it costs you zero.
Yeah, correct. But also, if you look at an industry like podcasting, and because it is on a bull market, right? And they've come in here, that there would not be hugely difficult to build.
No. Not at all. You could build that with the new custom GPTs, which we may or may not talk about. So
let's throw up another one. This one I love. It's called Be Human. So this one here is an example of, I don't know. Let me just play it and then we'll talk about it. So this is a quick demo of the software and what it does, and then we'll talk about it. Go.
You're facing in business today.
Getting the customer's attention. I mean, how do I stay relevant? I feel like our brand gets drowned out by all the noise.
Customer expectations have skyrocketed and we're struggling to keep up. You have to surprise your customers in this hyper-competitive world and constantly go above and beyond.
As a leader, I need to stay in touch with my stakeholders, be it customers, employees, you name it. But I absolutely have zero time, so I need an easy solution to communicate effectively.
How can you tackle these challenges? Introducing Be Human. Be Human is a unique AI that clones your face and voice and then generates thousands of video messages for you. There are just 2 simple steps. First, record a template video. Be Human then creates hyper-personalized videos that look and feel completely real, so you can communicate at scale. Now send video messages wherever your customers are: email, SMS, LinkedIn, social media, and more. Connect with clients in a human way they're going to actually care about.
Hello, Martin. Hello, Anna. Hello, Maria.
And most importantly, get better results.
Whoa, I didn't know it'd be so useful.
Hey, that's so cool.
That's an amazing solution. Can't wait to try it. Where can I sign in?
All right, so this is really cool when you actually get what this does. So we're actually looking at implementing this right now in our electric toilets business. So as soon as somebody makes an order on our website, a text message arrives on their phone and it's a video from me saying, "Hey James, thanks so much for buying our toilet. We really look forward to being of service to you. If you need anything, we're always here, blah, blah, blah." And it happens instantly every time, and the AI grabs the name from the order and then generates the video without me even knowing. We've also been going to be testing this for our large email database, where we send an email out to our entire list and they get it, say, "Hey James, here's a personalized message from Adam." And they click on it, says, "Hey James, I just wanted you to know that I've been thinking of you. We haven't spoken in a while. Click here to follow the pod," something like that. So, I mean, have at it, guys. How would you use that? I mean, it's just mind-blowing.
We have discussed this a little while back, and we do what we call customised product demonstrations for healthcare professionals. And this automatically is something you could overlay, because except for the "Hi, how you going?" and then there's a 15-minute, depending on the product, there's a 15-20-minute stock standard video that's all pre-recorded. So you just tap that at the front of it, re-render it, and out it goes. Just light it up.
We used to do this, like with our coaching programs. We would send a text message saying, "Hey, welcome to the program." We used to do it manually. I remember sitting in my car outside our place. Joe had like 100 and I had 100 to do. And we would literally make one after the other after the other. And I was there in the car for an hour, just record text. This just does that like that.
On automation.
I mean, you could do it at MX. It's amazing.
Yeah, we could do it at MX. Even in the real estate company, as an example, you're settling a building with 100 units in it, right? Obviously, the agents are handing over the keys. Congratulations. But a week after, you can send out a video saying, "Hey, just thinking about you. Have you settled in? How's the new furniture?" 4 weeks after, "Hey, just letting you know your defect period's coming up. You've got 2 weeks. Please make sure you contact the building." Like all automated.
But it feels real because it's like, "Hey, Eric."
Correct.
You could ask for reviews. You can.
And it's purple cow. No one's doing it yet. As you said, your question before, because it's so new, what do you want to harness and how are you going to stand out? And this is it.
Yeah. I think it's bridging the gap, right? Like, I'm sitting here going, I've known about Be Human for probably 6 months, to be honest, right? I haven't done anything with it in the real estate business, right? So it's one of those things of knowing it's there but it's bridging the gap of going from, look at all these things, oh my God, that's amazing, and then life goes on, and there you are doing it manually. Or like James, when we were prepping for the interview, here I am taking 15, 20 minutes as an example, right?
So being a consultant.
And you're taking 2 minutes.
Yeah, and this is gold, guys. Like, don't be worried that you think that people are going to, like, they've heard of that tool before, they're not going to want to pay you to help them with it, because there's people just like you, Eric, who are doing that all the time. You know, I think the big opportunity here is how slow it takes the human mind to adapt to new things. And so while people may know that that's the technology you're using, they don't want to sit there and implement it and set it all up. That's your
think about
opportunity.
how much would you pay for somebody to set up Be Human for you at your business, to do it for you?
No,
$1,000?
Easy.
$1,000, and you go, hey, listen, Eric, let me just show you this. You could do this, but I'll do it for $1,000. I'll set it up in your business, so from next Monday, your customers are getting these. All I need is for you to make one video, which I'll record.
Yeah.
Are you in? Like, I know, I pay for that stuff all the time. I could learn Google ads and Facebook ads, but I don't have the time. That's why I pay people like Chris thousands of dollars to do it.
And just to put that in context, when I started my business 8 years ago, I charged over $1,000 to set up a Facebook page, YouTube channel, Google Plus page, and LinkedIn. You look at that now and think, that's absurd. Why would anyone pay $1,000 to set up 4 social media profiles? But back then, people knew what social media was and it could help their business, but they didn't know how to actually do it or what to do with it. That's the opportunity we've got right now, times 1,000, because there are so many tools just like this, and there are so many people who can benefit who just don't want to do it, and they'll pay good money for it.
And I think also, if you go back to, with the advent of this, we'll go back 2 steps to when Upwork, all these other sites are around. It was like, all right, now I've got to go through and find a person who has the skill set that I've got, and depending on which country you're going to look at, and how much you're going to pay, what the quality of the work's going to be like, because it's based on human output, right, and how intelligent they were. But I think with the advent of AI, like, it's about, you could probably hire the people for the same rate but get a far better outcome because they're not actually doing the work. It's the AI doing the work. So that whole consultancy role, well, it may be, if you hire onshore and pay someone 80, 90 grand a year and have them working in your business, you could probably have a fairly close outcome for someone who you're probably paying 8 or 9 grand a year.
Big time,
because
big time.
AI is doing the work, not the human. And if you did put them through an onboarding or a training course that you design with AI for your business, it's pretty hard for them to screw it up.
It is. And can I also say the barrier to entry is so low. Like, you think about social media, you had to at least put your face on the camera or be good at writing. Now you don't even have to do any of that. You don't have to be good at writing. You don't have to put yourself out there. You don't even have to talk to people because we have these, text to voice type situations. You just have to be some guy or some person sitting behind a computer. The barrier to entry for this is so low.
There's dudes in Spain now running OnlyFans accounts where they got sick of the girls and all the drama with dealing with them, that they created video, like the girls don't even exist. And now they're running these accounts making 100 grand a year per girl, and the girl's not real, but you can't tell the girl's not real.
There you go, mate.
Just bananas.
Solved.
You could make money even with your head, Eric. With a face swap. I put Brad Pitt on your head.
I've been using that service for 6 months.
Our whole goal was to find you, Brian, on this podcast. I think we just nailed it.
All right. So let's move on to another example here. This one on the surface, this is going to be the AI Kanye, right? Now, on the surface, this just looks like kind of a fun, gimmicky thing, but we're going to jump into this and play the first part, and then, Greg, I'll get you to skip forward to the second part. The second part starts at 3:09, but we'll start here at the first one. At first, you guys are going to go, okay, this just looks gimmicky, but I'm going to show you how this is being used in the real world. And this is an example of where you need to think in second-order consequences, okay? So let's watch this. This is a young white guy who is loves rap and hip-hop. His voice isn't bad, but it's not amazing. And what he's doing here is he's written a rap song that he thinks Kanye West would write. And then there's what they call a large language model, but they've created a large language model with Kanye West's voice that anybody can access, right, for free. So you can say something, and then it gets said back to you with Kanye's voice, right, which is amazing. So let's just watch this. It'll explain itself, and then we'll talk about the second order consequence of business and how it could be implemented. Let's go.
Beat is down, let's get some rapping. The Jewish media, you know that they got a lot to tell you. They want the old Ye, the one that signed a Rockefeller. The old Yeezy that was cooking beats for Jay-Z. And Ronald Kim K, let me see my babies. They think I'm crazy, but they just don't understand, yay. Shout out to Jesus, so I put my hands up and I pray. Times are getting hard, but I just take it day by day. It's Kanye 2020 for the presidential candidate. Ooh,
all right, so he's laid down.
That shit is a two-pack of ass.
So he's laid down the track and his voice, and now what we're going to do is we're going to hear it with the AI laid over the top.
On the video that basically taught me how to do it, so.
Jewish media, you know that they got a lot to tell ya. They want the yeah, the one that signed the Rockefeller. The Yeezy that was cooking beats for Jay-Z. And Ronald Kim K, let me see my babies. They think I'm crazy, but they just don't understand, yay. Shout out to Jesus, so I put my hands up and I pray. Times are getting hard, but I just take it day by day. Kanye 2020 for the presidential candidate.
That's
mind-boggling.
Isn't that insane? Actually, you know, like if that came out, I don't think anybody would doubt that that was a new song from Kanye West, right? It's just amazing. But where this is being used in business now is there are companies that are providing real-time accent removal for telemarketers. So you can run a telemarketing shop out of Bangalore in India, and then you can choose that you want to sound like Sarah from the Midwest or Brian from Los Angeles, and it's translating and taking the accent out in real time. Brian? Is that the avatar? Brian. And so if you are like running a help center for Telstra, would you not pay for that? Like, there's no question in my mind they would pay for that.
It's one of the biggest complaints that people have is the Indian accent, and it's very hard to understand for people. So it's valuable.
Yeah.
Extremely valuable.
And it's not good for them either because they're copying abuse and people hanging up. And the efficiencies that are brought as a result of it are just massive.
Not only we can make, we're talking about appointment setters before, and I've got the data there to build an AI appointment setter to run through a series of questions. We've got the data that we just mentioned that we've, who likes recruitment here? We're all business owners. Who loves it? Who loves recruiting?
It's the worst job in the world.
Great. And then when you do have them, who likes training them?
Yeah.
No one. No. And we're going through this now. So it's like, and they got sick day, on it goes. But, to the point where you could build an AI, and instead of, the call rate might be 100 outbounds a day, 10,000 outbounds a minute. Like, it's uncapped.
You need phone calls going out.
You formerly would have an appointment setter going through a database, calling the leads, and going for coffee.
Tesla's doing it now. We'll load that up in a second. We'll give you the example. Have you got that one, Greg?
And just while you're bringing that up as well, think about this from a content creation perspective. If you create content for YouTube videos or courses, you can clone your own voice and essentially just have your team or even ChatGPT create the course, and then it'll sound like you're presenting it. You essentially clone yourself. It's mind-boggling.
What are your thoughts just in regards to AI, right? And we were talking about copywriting before as an example. So if you're one of those high-end copywriters, what are your thoughts around job displacement?
Yeah, so if you're a high-end copywriter, you'll be okay. But there is going to be downward pressure. There's massive, no doubt about it. So if you're like an ultra high-end, like a Frank Kern or one of those guys, you're okay. That's fine. But if you're in the middle, you're in trouble because even myself with my business, I used to pay copywriters $100 plus per hour to get copy done. Now I have lower level, maybe $10 to $15 an hour people who understand how to recognize good copy and use AI, and they're pumping out content that is just as good as those guys. So there's that saying, I think was it Mark Andreessen who said that software is eating the world? I would say AI is going to devour it, and people don't even know what's coming yet. So, that's why I just encourage people, just start playing around with what's going on so you actually see what's happening and some of the applications of it as well. But yeah, downward pressure for copywriters, teachers, designers, video editors, everything is going to be downward pressure on pricing.
So to learn a little bit more about AI, for instance, for the speakers for the listeners that don't know too much about AI, where would you go? What would you look at to learn a little bit more about AI?
Very good question. So I would even just start off with ChatGPT in and of itself. Just sign up for the free version and just start playing around with it and start asking it questions. There are great tools. I think, James, you mentioned one, which was, I think there's an AI for that, there's different, like a repository of thousands and thousands of different AI tools. But frankly, if you just start with something like ChatGPT or even Bard and you go there and you ask it questions, it'll guide you through everything you need to know. It'll recommend different
And honestly,
tools,
guys,
different
this is
applications.
2024. If you're at home right now and you don't know something, there's a thing called the internet and YouTube that's fucking mind-blowing, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't be lazy. Like, young people today, if you've got, you are billionaires with minutes. You know, Eric is not. I'm even less so. We're poorer time-wise. You guys, your asset is time. If you are dumb today, it is ignorance and laziness.
Google's just, I think it's Google, just Google it, AI Harvard, I think they even call it a Harvard level AI, introduction to AI. It's free.
Yes.
And it tells you all about how Bard works or how...
If you become obsessed, if I was a young person listening to this, you could become obsessed with this. Mm-hmm. And I think this is an incredible opportunity.
To your point, like, you know, we may have an understanding of it. I still don't like to be the person doing it. I would rather hire someone who's competent to go and do the work. I'm not interested in
I think you're going to see more and more ads on Seek and on Upwork for AI expert, AI consultant, and you can not name your price, but in business, it's supply and demand. If there's massive demand and very few people with their shingle out saying I'm an AI expert, which is Chris, why I think you're going to do great here.
Thank you.
You can do really, really well.
I would say, like, if you're a business and you're looking at this, you have two choices. You can either lay off staff to essentially produce the same output for less cost, or you can maintain the staff you've got, upskill them with the AI, and you can 10x your productivity and your rivers.
This is where it's going. If you do not embrace AI, you're going to see teams doing 10x because of 100x. They're basically, like this here, let's just watch this quickly because James mentioned this. He said it quickly, but what he said is absolutely freaking mind-blowing if you actually understand what he said. 1,000 phone calls a minute. Now, that's actually possible for big companies with AI, and this is actually a Tesla-trained AI. They're calling their list of people who've inquired about a Tesla motor car to book them in for a test drive. Now, admittedly, you can tell there is a bit of a delay there, but if this is where it is today, you wait for another 6 months.
It's here now. There's applications out there right now that have a fraction of a millisecond, and it's like you're having a phone conversation.
So it's here now. So let's watch this. And this is an AI calling a lead to book them in for a test drive.
Oh.
Hey, James.
Yeah, who's this?
Hey, James. It's Alexander from Tesla Motors. How's your day going so far?
It's going pretty good, my man. How about yourself? You said from Tesla, right? The car company?
Yeah, that's right. I'm calling from Tesla Motors, the car company. Did you have any trouble or questions while customizing your car on our website?
No, we're just kind of shopping around and, just taking a look.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Sometimes we're just exploring our options before making a decision, and I totally respect that. Can I ask you why you were looking into a Tesla in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I've had my car for way too long now, and so I'm kind of taking a look at options, and I have a lot of friends who just absolutely rave about Tesla, and, me myself, I'm actually a big fan of Elon Musk, so I figured I might as well take a look and kind of explore my options there and see what you guys had available.
That's a smart approach, James. It's always good to explore your options and see what's available.
All right, stop
Out
it
of
there.
curiosity.
So you can hear that pause. It could almost be forgiven as it's like he's on a bad line or it's an international call.
Yeah.
But once that delay's gone, that's quite remarkable. The response and the articulation and the conversational tone of it.
And think of like each one of these calls is being recorded, and don't think for a second that they're not putting that back in the database to train the AI to get better and better and better. And just think of all the things. He just mentioned he loves Elon. Think of all the data points you can extrapolate from that one phone call that's happening 1,000 times per minute that you can then use in your marketing, in your product development, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. So it's, and to my point earlier, there are apps right now that have, it's virtually like real time. It's like you're having a phone call with zero delay, and it's it's here and now.
No latency in there. So that's a month old, and the speed that this stuff is getting developed and enhanced is incredible.
Yeah, it's getting quicker and quicker.
Yeah. We're going to bring up one more, Greg. We'll just load it up, which is one of Chris's favourites, which is the DID. Chris, what is DID before we watch the demo?
Yeah, so DID it's what's called a natural user interface. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to humanize AI. So right now, even if you're texting or talking or you're using images to interact with AI, you know you're interacting with AI. It's a website, some sort of interface. DID is on a mission to change that, so it's like you're having a conversation with a human being. It looks like a human. You can upload a photo of yourself, or you can use one of their avatars.
And you're talking about it on a website, right?
On a website,
in an
currently.
application or something?
Correct, yep, and with the development in apps themselves as well. So I don't know whether you're going to play the customer service one or not, but one of the examples on the website is on your TV. So just say, for example, you're a Netflix and someone has a customer service question. They can just talk to the TV, up pops the AI avatar and interacts and does its thing.
So it basically, I think when you see a human talking at you, even if you know it's an AI, I think it's different to like a chat bot where it's just responding.
Correct.
When it's a person going, hey, Chris, that's a great question. Here's the answer.
Correct.
It kind of feels different to interact with it.
It does. And just think of it as well, like already as humans, we're blurring the lines between what's real and what's not. You think of most people, they're hiding behind filters on social media. And even on a lot of these Zoom apps, you can blur your background, you can have all these filters across. So it's getting very difficult to determine and tell whether you're talking to a real human or not. And to your point, it does make the interaction feel a lot more comfortable and normal.
Let's play it so we can see. Is this the one?
I'll go to, if you go to solutions and then customer service or customer experience, and then the very first video, you'll need to zoom in because you can't go.
That's all right. Yeah, we'll watch it. Greg will put it in post, but let's watch it.
Hey, how come the pitch quality on this big screen is so poor?
I don't know. Let me try their support.
Hi, David. How are you today? I'm Jess, your AI digital assistant. What can I help you with?
Hey, the game is all grainy. What's wrong with my TV?
I checked and your internet connection is in order. The reason for the poor quality has to do with your subscription. Would you like me to upgrade you to a premium plan so you can watch it in UHD?
I don't know. How much is it to upgrade?
It's $15, but let's not do this now. I temporarily changed your settings so you can watch the rest of the game in UHD. Let's talk again at halftime.
Sounds great.
Is there anything else I can help you with now?
No, I think we're good. I guess we'll see you at halftime.
And that is just one of their things. The other one, if you want to just go to products and then go to DID, or chat DID, this is the one to what we were talking about earlier, James. This is the killer. So they're doing this, you don't have to play the video. Basically what's happening here is essentially this is the AI customer service and sales agents. So you just imagine you jump on a Zoom call where you talk to a human being, it'll be AI and going through the exact same process, whether you're onboarding a new customer, trying to make the sale, it's this exact tool.
Wow. Maybe just go, Greg, to the homepage and play that one that I had lined up just so that people can actually experience what it feels like. I think it was the Yui story or something. There it is. Let's just watch this so you can feel it.
Since the beginning, humankind has tried to perfect its interface with technology, but that only got us so far. Because we communicate with our voice, our eyes, our face, and our gestures, we need an interface that does as well. Introducing the Natural User Interface.
I'm Yui, a smarter interface that is more engaging, conversational, and, well, natural. I can appear in any form, speak any language, and scale infinitely while staying personalized for any number of users or use cases. Whether it's a friendly sales rep.
What about this jacket? This one could suit your dress better. Or this. And how about these matching boots?
A personalized customer support agent.
I'm having trouble with the settings.
I totally understand, Richard. Let's go through it, step by step.
A learning and development manager.
Welcome to your onboarding training, Charlotte. Let's begin.
Or even an assistant.
Here's the data you asked for, next quarter's projections.
Thanks.
Nui is yours to use for any business needs.
So you can see there when you had the assistant, it's basically automated that process of me going to ChatGPT-4, uploading the data, and it's put a human face on it. So it feels like I've got an assistant. Like James already is using ChatGPT as an assistant, but instead of him having this sort of blank square, to just type a command into it. It just talks to it and says, hey, what time is the pub open till? No worries, James, just give me a moment. Yeah, it's open till 5:30. Do you want me to make a booking? Mm-hmm. Boom. That's amazing. And I can imagine what your assistant's going to look like, James, if it's AI.
It's not like his.
No, well, his is going to look like Brian, right?
That's right.
We've already established this. But James, the single man, you can get away with whatever you want.
Yeah.
But just on this as well, if you're a young person who's watching this, just think you've got access to this technology for pennies or cents, really, by connecting with the API. There's no reason why you can't go to use this tool. You don't have to develop the technology. You just go there and you think of an application for businesses and you connect it up to the API, and there you go. You've got potentially a multi-million-dollar business.
You can even ask ChatGPT and say, what would be the first steps to turn this into a business?
Correct.
Right? Like,
yeah, there you go.
It's just really shifting the way you think about, this as a tool.
Chris, you keep mentioning API. What's an API?
Yeah, so it's an application protocol interface. It's basically how do websites and tools talk to each other. So it is a bit of, a little bit technical. So if you don't know how to use it, you can just get a developer off Upwork or Fiverr. It's essentially how websites talk to each other.
A good example is we built a software application called Zon Guru, and it's still in existence today. And basically what it does is it connects one of our clients' Amazon accounts with the Amazon database, and we pull from Amazon's database a whole bunch of information about their account, and then we translate it and put it into useful reports and useful information for them, and they pay us for that translation. And the API connects our website with the Amazon database, specifically their data. So that's one example.
Yeah. And you look at this software like this, or platforms like DID. Right now they would be, I don't know what charges a month, but sometimes prohibitively expensive. But over time, they're going to be becoming dirt.
Yeah, these are right now. Yeah, extremely cheap.
So the arbitrage there is going to establish old style businesses with older entrepreneurs with an offer and finding a custom use case, going on Be Human, creating a video to that, finding the owner, send them a video that's going to blow their head off and get the appointment.
Here's the business model. It is take anything and add AI to it. That's the business model.
Wow.
That is literally it.
So Chris, what's the low-hanging fruit without giving up too much? Because I know you're doing a lot of this in your business, but I'm a 25-year-old at the moment, wondering what I'm going to do. I want to start a business. I know a little bit about AI.
This actually is a really good segue into what I'd like to finish on. For the sake of time, we've got to run a little bit shorter today, but I think what you're going to say to this is the launch of the App Store. Maybe that's a good thing to learn, and then anything else to that end.
Sure. Well, we can focus on that. The first thing before we get to the App Store is just selling AI services. So marketing services, design, copywriting, any of those things, easy. So we can put that aside. The big one is the custom GPT store. So essentially now, if you're on the premium plan, it's $20 per month. You can build as many custom GPTs as you'd like to. Just last week, OpenAI launched the GPT store. So think the App Store on your phone, but for AI.
But back in the day when there were no apps.
Yes, that's right.
So back in the day with the iPhone, you had iPhone produced like maybe 30 apps. The calculator and the whatever.
Yep.
And then they opened it up to developers to say, whatever you want to do, and think about the billions, or maybe, I don't know how much it is, hundreds of billions of dollars been made by app developers over the years.
And you'd have to pay companies who knew how to code apps because it was prohibitively expensive. Right. It was in the tens of thousands. With this thing here, you literally go on there and you talk to it. And while you're talking to it, it builds the app or the GPT in the background. And so that's probably the biggest opportunity that I would see right now for people. So that in and of itself is great, and I'll give a couple of different examples.
It's like this is where that text to code comes in. You say, I want to do this app for the ChatGPT, and it'll make the app based on your command.
Exactly.
And is mind-blowing.
So here's some examples. So just say, for example, you wanted to, let's just say coaching, right? So you could create or maybe mental health. Mental health's a big thing right now. So let's say you can create a GPT all about coaching someone through their anxiety moment, or how do I get more confidence. You just train the data. You can pull that data from anywhere you'd like to. You can find some of the best psychologists in the world, download their videos, transcribe it, upload it as a PDF for the training data and the data point. And then what you do is you just give that out to people for free, and they can use this tool as much as they'd like. Let's just say, for example, so They go to chat the tool and say, hey, I'm having trouble with anxiety. I need some help. It will then go through and give them some exercises and some things they can do to help right now. And then it just asks, hey, do you want to talk to a human about this? Do you need any extra help? And so there's a few different things you can do here. You could either sell that as an AI tool for psychologists or counselors or people like that. Or, and this is the big one I think, you can start a lead generation business. So then you just farm those leads out. So every time they say, okay, yes, I'd like to talk to a human being, and I'm in the Gold Coast, you then farm that lead out to a psychologist or a counsellor or whoever else it is, and they pay you per lead. And the running cost for that is $20 per month. And remember, you can create as many of these as you'd like to. And so that's just one simple example. Yeah.
How do people find these? So if I'm the person that's dealing with anxiety, where do I find this app?
Yeah, so obviously you have to get it out to them. So what you can do is you can just promote it. Now, with that as well, because it's so new and novel, the marketing does itself. So they'll discover it through viral. People go, wow, this app helped me through my anxiety, whatever else it is, and it's super simple. Now, if you want to just be without any sort of API, you can do it in ChatGPT directly. What I recommend though is you have a website. You just have a website that people can go to and you connect it up to the interface. Or if you'd like to, you can even have it so it interacts through SMS, through WhatsApp, and even through Messenger. So maybe you're even a personal trainer, for example, and you want to help encourage your clients to stay fit and healthy and with their nutrition. They can text you and say, or they could text this custom GPT and say, hey, this is what I've got on my menu, or this is what I'm thinking about buying. Is that in my meal plan? It will then know, based off what you've told it, whether it's good or not, and formulate the response and come back to them via SMS, WhatsApp, Messenger, or through the website as well. This stuff here is mind-boggling. And again, I'm just giving a couple of different examples. This is all, you can create it in a matter of minutes. It's a matter of minutes.
Yeah, and then to that point as well, if you're going to have your own website and drive traffic to it and whatnot, there's an application called 10Web, which you can build a website in about 10 minutes, start to finish. I built a website for another company that I wrote the copy on, did all that, and then sent it to my old usual tech development guy, charged me about $800, I think all told about $900, and built it in WordPress. And then I found 10Web and was like, that was a waste of about $890 because I could have done it for 10 and in a matter of minutes.
I would love to do a part 2 to this pod, Chris, where we actually do it on camera.
Yes.
Build an app on camera, because I think that would be amazing.
No, yeah, I'm thinking when you're talking about these business ideas, I'm thinking obviously I know we're all kind of following macros at the moment, right, with nutrition. Mm-hmm. And you start thinking it's pretty basic, but then when you're starting to think yourself, here's my macros, this is what I'm supposed to be eating every day based on my weight, my age, and my training, right? What am I going to make?
Yeah.
Right.
So on that, you can take a photo of the food and say, hey, will this be in my macros or not? And the AI will know because it can interact with the image, and then it can give you recipes.
Instant, that's what I mean, right? Instant recipes. Here's 1,000 recipes for lunch, within your macro account.
And then create your shopping list and email it to you.
I think the big advantage for all of you listening at home, you up and coming entrepreneurs, the big advantage here is not just that there's all these ideas, but you can test them for nothing now. Yeah. See, back in the day, we had to develop an app or we had to develop a website and we needed coders. So everything cost in the thousands or tens of thousands. Whereas what you're saying, Chris, is you can actually test this and launch this for hundreds of dollars in days, not months.
Yeah, exactly.
And
even less.
Even less. And that's the real, this is a time to be, really getting stuck in, becoming obsessed.
So if I've got $10,000, right? And I go, okay, I want to start some of these apps, AI apps, right? For 10 grand and half a brain, how many apps do you think I can create with $10,000?
Well, okay.
Roughly.
Well,
not counting your consulting fee, Chris.
Yes. Sure. Just if you
one.
Just straight up. There you go.
The end of one.
Yeah. Less than. No. So okay, let's just look at that and think through it. Look, you could do easily 1,000, easily.
Right, surely one's got to work, eh?
Exactly.
Honestly.
And
if you're time rich, this is what I'm getting at. Yeah. If you're time rich as a young person, I'd be getting together with a mastermind with other young people, like we used to do with Amazon and all the businesses we started, and go, all right, boys and girls, let's go. Let's have a hackathon. Let's do this shit.
Now is the greatest time.
That's what I would be doing. I mean, Chris and I have been back and forth with a bunch of ideas, which I'm not going to share. but we're going back and forth with
10
some
grand?
ideas.
You got a seed investor.
But no, that's right. No,
Yeah.
we're talking about this at the moment. We're doing an offsite with Chris and us and getting together and go, how about we put some money in the pot, invite some young people or any people who are interested in this up, and we'll fund some of these ideas together and say, right, here's 20 grand. Let's see what we can do in a weekend, and we'll fund them.
Yeah.
But
And
we get equity in them.
The reality is no one's doing this, right? People will listen to the podcast, the same thing with me, and it's hard to embrace because it is overwhelming, and then life hits you in the face, right? And you go back to the grind. So for me, it's making each other accountable and going, okay,
Ideas
for
are
1 hour a
fragile.
week or 1 hour every 2 weeks, we're going to sit down, we're going to go in a room, and we're going to strategize and make this thing real and action, right?
That's what I said prior to us recording, didn't I? When Chris said, can we have a meeting? I said, yes, but I want it to be offsite in a boardroom so that we give it the proper attention. And that's what people don't do. This idea is fragile. Like, you guys are listening to the pod right now. I got to do this. Patrick Bet-David said, show me, here's the number one way to find out if somebody's successful or not. Show me their calendar. That's the logbook of success, right? Oh, I listened to a podcast. Okay, that kind of counts. Here's the 10 hours of work I have scheduled as a result of what I learned in the podcast. It is that block of deep work that needs to be scheduled in your diary. So if you're listening to this, what I want you to be doing is saying, okay, I'm going to allot 30 minutes to send emails to 50 people, 10 people, whatever, and say, who wants to work on this with me, and actually have a meeting, like get together with people on Zoom or in a room and start brainstorming this, because somebody is going to dominate in these areas, and they're going to have these small wins, they're going to leave the big wins, and then they're going to launch some big kick-ass companies.
And it sounds like there's not much competition at the moment,
No,
right? Because it's so new.
That's what I was about to say. Like, you think about how hard it's got to be to become a social media influencer now. The competition is it's so much competition. Right now, this is wide open. It's wide open. So I would actually edit it out if needed, but I'd lay down the challenge for people who are watching. Pop it in the comments. Like, what are you going to do? What are some of the ideas you're thinking?
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll pop in the comments your commitment to what you want to do and the next steps, because what we're trying to do here at Unemployable, guys, is in this pod particularly is teach business owners, hey, you need to pay attention to this, and if you don't, you are going to find yourself all of a sudden that scrawny competitor that you're against is going to turn into a Goliath, and they're going to do it using AI. Yeah. And if you're an entrepreneur looking at this or want to be an entrepreneur, this is where I would be paying attention as a young person today.
Just a further point to that as well. It's not just this AI and GPTs and everything. It's not just for the new age tech companies. If you look at a boring old batshit company like mine that I purchased, it's old and it's still relevant to it for solving real problems. So it's like, you don't have that fear of, I'm not a Silicon Valley tech head. That's not the mindset at all.
Yeah, I think applying it to local businesses like that, your plumbers, chiropractors,
Totally.
gyms, there's so many applications.
All the sleepers.
Exactly.
Everywhere.
And that's
There's just opportunities everywhere. Yeah. Guys, it's been a great pod. Chris, thank you for your attendance today. We'll definitely get back from round 2 and we'll prep up sort of some live examples, and maybe we'll get a guest in. So maybe we get a second guest who's not a coder, and then we say, all right, here's 10 ideas, let's go and do it, and get them to do it while you coach them. It'd be, I think, really interesting to watch that.
Would you even take it from one of the comments, potentially?
Yeah, potentially. Throw it up there. But guys, like and subscribe. If this has been a helpful potty for you, podcast, make sure you like, subscribe, and if you want to, for extra points, hit the notification bell. Guys, these podcasts, just so you know, like Eric and I spent 4 or 5 months building this space out, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Every week there's 4 people on the panel. We've got a team behind this, and there's no money in podcasting, right? So there's a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of effort goes into it, even with AI helping us. All we ask in exchange is that if we're producing content that you like, subscribe, and hit the notifications. The subscription particularly, it costs you nothing. We don't send you emails. We don't even get your email address. What it does is it shows our future guests, hey, these guys have an audience that are engaged, and those download numbers on Spotify as well and other platforms really help us to get better guests, to give you a better show. So please do that. All right, guys, thank you so much. Eric, thank you for being here. James, thank you for being here. And of course, Chris, thank you for being here as well. And of course, Greg and Richard in the background. Appreciate you both. And we will see you on the next episode of Unemployable. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.